Okay, everyone, I heard you loud and clear. Our last video talking about the KOTOR remake, well, it blew up, and you guys got very, very opinionated in the comments, and it was split right down the middle. I read every single comment on every single video, and you're split on live action versus the old school turn-based combat for KOTOR. I get it, and you can let me know why you prefer one over the other. We talked about the updates, the leaks, and everything, and how it could be switching and going away from that turn-based combat, and a lot of you didn't like that. Once again, I understand, but now I need you guys to buckle up because the KOTOR Remake saga has another twist. We've heard whispers of something big that could be happening, maybe a surprise trailer or a major update by the end of the year. Whatever it is, we're going to cover it and get into it. But first, let's set the stage for what we know for sure about one of the most anticipated remakes of all time. Drop a like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and everybody who's leaving comments saying you don't read the comments, if you do read this one, if I heart the comment, that means I read it. Now, if it's a negative comment or if it's just being mean, I'm obviously not going to show it any love. Now, Saber Interactive, very, very much so steering this ship. After Aspire's troubled start and the Embracer Group collapse, Saber, who is now independent, they took over the project, and they insist that KOTOR is alive. Saber CEO Matt Karch confirmed in an interview that development continues, and Saber CCO Tim Willits doubled down on that in March of 2025. He tweeted out, and I quote, "Everything we've talked about is still in development." In other words, KOTOR, it's not vaporware. If anything, we can call it, I guess we could use the pun of cryo-frozen for now. Saber even listed the remake among its upcoming games during a recent funding round. So yes, it's funded, and yes, it's happening, even if that means it's happening quietly right now. In the last video, we talked about Sony, and we know that Sony helped announce the remake back in 2021, and they had the time PS5 exclusive deal. But lately, Sony, they've checked out, they've ghosted, they've gone eerily silent when it comes to the KOTOR remake. The original reveal trailer with Darth Revan, and it was quietly delisted from Sony's official channels, which that set off a lot of alarm bells in the community. Insider journalist Jeff Grubb reported that Sony had lost interest in that project. That's crazy to me to even say that. How they just anyway. I'm not going to get opinionated here. Does that mean the PS5 exclusivity would be dead? Well, now the fact that we know Sony is focusing all hands on deck for the PS6, there's a good chance of that. Officially, we don't know, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, you're not going to see KOTOR until probably the PS6. I truly, truly feel that way. Now, Space.com points out that it's unclear if Sony's deal still holds any water, and some rumors last year even suggested that the exclusivity might be gone. Space's best guess is that KOTOR will remain a PS5 or PS6 timed exclusive before it hits the Xbox later on down the road, but nobody's confirmed that. Either way, Sony isn't talking, so for now, Saber is flying solo. And any return to Sony's fold would depend on Saber delivering something truly special down the line. And it's crazy that Saber, independently operated now, has to re-impress Sony. I don't like that vibe at all. I really, really don't. Now, let's talk about new leaks. Let's talk about rumored features. This is the fun stuff, and wildly speculative, some of it. I mean, keep in mind, none of this is official, but fans have been digging. And when fans dig, they usually find stuff. One key claim is that combat is being reworked. We talked about this in the last video. Early reports, even from 2022, said that Saber might remake the combat to be more action RPG rather than pure turn-based. And I know, that's where eyebrows raised and a lot of people perked up and started paying attention because I said, we read every comment on the last video. You guys are split right down the middle. Half of you want it to be more action RPG or live action combat. The other half say do not mess with the turn-based formula because that's what made KOTOR so special. I mean, Sixth Axis noted a leak suggesting God of War style combat influences, and they hope they find a sweet spot closer to the Final Fantasy remake. More recently, Space.com says word on the street is Saber has rebuilt the entire combat system, landing much closer to modern action-oriented RPGs than the original D&D style turn-based system. And that's scary for a lot of purists out there, I know that. It also matches other chatter out there that combat might run in real time like Jedi Survivor does with the ability to pause and issue commands. So basically it would be an evolved real time with pause system, if that makes any sense. There's other rumored features that people are talking about. We might actually get a fully voiced protagonist and a Mass Effect style dialogue wheel, which would give the game, I would say, more of a cinematic feel. One leak even claimed old characters would be recast with new voice actors. Now this suggests your hero could have spoken lines instead of silent pauses. We've also heard about the expanded Revan backstory, potentially more flashback scenes, and yes, possibly new romance options. I don't know. I don't know who's going to have a romance, but fans love to speculate. There's no confirmation, but it does fit the pattern. If you make dialogue fully voiced, you might as well add a few new conversation branches in there too. And to the skeptics out there, no one said the story itself will change dramatically. In fact, Saber's earlier messaging promises to maintain the integrity of the story and the characters we've come to cherish. So if any of these leaks are true, they'll be padding around the edges of more cutscenes, voice work interactions, rather than rewriting KOTOR's core plot. Time will tell, but for now, expect better graphics, possibly action-y combat, and a lot more talking heads or talking Jedi on the screen. Now, I want to go back and focus on this combat debate, the turn-based versus live action. I mean, on one hand, the original KOTOR's combat, a real-time battle, you can pause, you can queue your abilities, that was super unique and strategic at the time. Now, some fans argue it's sacred. It's part of what made KOTOR memorable. On the other side, many modern players call it archaic and clunky compared to today's fast-paced games. They want full-on lightsaber action with fluid movement and dynamic cameras. I mean, you don't have to pause at all. I think both sides make good points. The old system lets you think and plan. It tied into D&D rules. The new style would be more cinematic and more adrenaline pumping. It's honestly tough to please everybody. I mean, if Saber went full-on button masher, purists would be pissed off. If they stayed 100% turn-based, new players, they probably won't be able to, it won't hold their attention span. So a compromise could be the action combat with a pause ability wheel. Basically the original idea, but shinier. We'll see which way Saber swings. What do you guys think? I mean, do they keep the classic RPG pause, or do they go full Jedi Unleashed? Now, another big debate out there, not as big as that one, but it's pretty big, is how much will the remake change the story? Fans want the classic tale of Revan and Malak, right? The Jedi Civil War and the Star Forge, all to remain intact. That's the special sauce. I agree with that. So far, Saber's signals are to stick with that beloved script. Original lead producer Ryan Treadwell said in the announcement they'd keep the story and the characters intact. Space.com agrees we should expect most of those plot beats and characters to remain the same. So in other words, don't expect a New Hope-style twist, though some leaks said nothing of that anyway. But, I mean, that said, the full voice acting, the new cinematics, that will naturally be added to it. Adding some dialogue, expanded scenes, but not taking away from the core story. The game already has a ton of branching choices, so maybe they'll add even more light side, dark side lines to it. But the safe bet is, core story equals the same plus more polish. If Saber tries to reimagine too much, they are going to risk alienating the purist. Now, when can we expect this? Well, this is where we get to give our best guesses each time we make a video. I mean, there's no official date yet, we know that. Every source emphasizes that the remake is in deep development as we speak, with no announcement soon. Space.com warns that we haven't seen any more trailers or release dates and suggests this big project will remain a mystery for a while. So if we do venture a guess, I would say industry insiders say early 2026 at the very earliest, but let's be realistic here. It might slip into 2027 or later. Given what happened in 2022 through 2024, you had the studio changes, the Embracer drama, all that stuff. Saber's been hiring writers and artists steadily at a good clip. They're also juggling many games, so don't hold your breath for a PS Showcase trailer anytime soon. They're likely keeping this one close to the cuff and very quiet until they have some polish. So in short, it is coming. It's real. It's just not coming as fast as we want to. At the same time, everybody hopes Saber just needs a little more time for quality. We'll just have to stay patient, keep refreshing our news feeds, and you just keep refreshing this channel because I will keep you guys completely updated. Now, let's recap here. KOTOR is alive. We know that. Despite years of silence, it is happening. Sony's kind of checked out. It's okay. Demo trailer was pulled. Whatever. Saber is flying this ship right now, out front and doing their thing. In the end, this remake could be huge. If Saber can get this right, it might live up to the Oblivion level success and remind everybody why KOTOR was such a masterpiece. Or it could become a cautionary tale of being mishandled, which we've seen multiple times in the past with games as well. We're watching, we're hoping. So what do you guys want the most? Do you want that classic throwback, or do you want bold new takes here? You guys let me know. Drop the comments because I'm reading. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.